Thank you for joining us. I am Adrianna Ramirez from Connecticut Family Support Network, and we are here today in partnership with the Connecticut Youth Leadership Project. And they're going to be talking about a program that we're very excited to share about and create awareness, because you're going to hear so many great details, and it's a wonderful opportunity. But the Youth Leadership Forum that will be happening, and you'll hear more. I don't want to give too much away, so I want to thank everyone. For those that don't know about that much about Connecticut Family Support Network, we are an organization supporting families raising children in a family and family members with special healthcare needs and disabilities across the state. And we support in 3 ways: support groups, workshops such as these, play groups, and one-on-one coordination that you can reach out to someone and get support one-to-one. So I want to welcome, we have today John Gentile, Stephanie Barksdale, we have Jeremy Powell, and John Paul Cross. And this is the wonderful group that you're going to hear more about, and hopefully you get a 360 view of what the program is about from different perspectives. And I'm excited that you'll hear. Thank you. Well, I'm going to hand it over to John. Welcome, John. I can't wait to hear, and I know everyone here is excited to know more about the program, so I'm going to hand it over to you.
Good evening, and thank you, everyone, and thank you, Adrianna, for inviting us to be with you and hold this forum. As we like to say, this is the best kept secret in Connecticut, the Connecticut Youth Leadership Project. My name is John Gentile. I'm the founder, co-founder, and president of the organization. And just briefly, I'll just talk about how it got started, and then I guess Stephanie could pick up and talk about the program itself. The program started back in 1997. Myself, Susanna Lickerman, and Karen Halliday. I don't know if these names ring a bell to anyone, but we were asked to look at a model for youth with disabilities in a leadership program that was being held out in California. So the federal government, under the, I guess, a grant through the, I believe it was a grant through the Internal Revenue Service of all places, but a grant nonetheless from the federal government, allowed folks to go out and participate and evaluate the Connecticut Youth Leadership, the California Youth Leadership Forum, and see whether or not they could replicate that model throughout the country. So we went out. We felt there was something that we could do. About 6 months later, we were asked to come back for a training session. It was a 3-day training session out in California, and through the sponsorship of the Bureau of Rehabilitation Services, which is now under the umbrella of the Aging and Disability Services, I went out along with Karen Halliday to be trained on developing a youth leadership project forum in Connecticut. So we came back, we put our heads together, brought a group of people, a round table, so to speak, and together, and from the state, across the state, statewide. We also included 2 young individuals, high school students, because the program is geared towards high school students. We brought 2 high school students with us to put our heads together to see how we could develop this program. And it took us 2 years to work the program, to strategize the program, and then hold our first forum in 1999. So this is our 27th year, our 26th forum. We missed a year because of COVID. And I think I'll let Stephanie take over, and you could describe the forum itself. So, and then we could fill in anything else that comes up. Stephanie?
Thank you, John. I am Stephanie Barksdale, and I'm the executive director of Connecticut Youth Leadership Project, and have been almost, I guess, 9 years now. See all my gray hairs? So the forum brings together between 40 and 48 high school students with disabilities. And we conduct, it's a 4-day, 3-night event held at Storrs, Yukon. John, Paul, and Jeremy will get more into the nitty-gritty details, but I'm going to just give the overview of that. The delegates are chosen by an application process and an interview, and then they're selected by a committee to attend. Our goal is always to get the delegates into the program rather than not. So we love to get people into this program so they can learn from each other and learn from us. This year the forum is July 28th through July 31st. It is an overnight forum, and staying overnight is mandatory, as is participation in all of the activities that we conduct. So on Monday, the students will come to Storrs, Yukon. They'll check in. They'll get to meet their roommate. They'll see their dorm room. And then we have lunch on campus, and then we start with a keynote speaker, typically somebody that with a disability that they've overcome to to get into their professional world of choice. So last year we had a lawyer. We've had firefighters that that have disabilities that have become firefighters. So there are many examples of how you can overcome your disability to become whatever it is you choose to do in life. Monday evening, we practice for our talent show, and everybody, I'm sure, has some sort of talent, whether it's singing, dancing, juggling, performing a skit with a fellow delegate. We want it all. Bring us all your talent. On Tuesday, we do a team building experience with the Yukon Police. They lead us through a bunch of team building events. And then Tuesday afternoon, we have peer presenters who, again, may have participated with us in the forum in the past. They may have been delegates in the past, or they may be somebody that we have gotten to know about, who again has overcome their disability to choose their professional opportunity in life. Tuesday evening is the talent show, which we get a kick out of. I mean, some of the talent these kids is really amazing. I mean, like I said, piano players, singers, card tricks, you name it, the talent has been spot on. And Wednesday we do a community service project, typically just off campus, so that we take a bus to some location. Last year we've done the community farm, or some of the Yukon farm. This year we're looking to do something a little different. We'll see what that pans out to be. And then Wednesday we come back and they do a little more educational business for the forum. That we have the kids work on their individual life course action plan so that they can start to think about what they want to do when they graduate from high school. Do they want to go to college? Do they want to go into the armed services? Do they want to be a bagger at Stop and Shop? What is your future goal? We want to help you work towards achieving that. And then Wednesday night is a dance, and the delegates get all dressed up and they dance the night away. They exhaust me because by that point I'm ready to sleep and they're ready to dance. And then Thursday is the final day. In the morning, the delegates put together a presentation to give to folks who come to the luncheon, typically their parents or guardians or some family member, and then some of the state folks who have been funding us throughout the year to make this forum happen. And then Thursday afternoon, the kids cry because they don't want to go home.
No.
We wish them well, and we hope that they will stay they are part of our family. We just hope that they'll, stay in the family and let us know what successes they've had, what failures they've had, and if we can help them in any way. We do have some criteria for delegates. First and foremost, you have to be between 16 and 22, ages 16 and 22. You have to have some sort of disability. We don't necessarily worry about the disability unless it's one that we cannot medically handle. We will provide PCAs if the delegate, needs, say, somebody to help them dress or to shower or whatever. We will provide PCAs for that. They have to have at least one more year of either high school or transition. Because we want them to come back, we want them to learn from us and then come back and teach their peers what they've learned so that they, they can share what they have learned. What am I missing, John, for criteria?
That's it. Just three items, 16 to 22, person with a disability, and have at least one more year of school at the completion of the forum.
Right, and you can be 15, but you have to turn 16 by July 28th. So you can apply at the age of 15, but your birthday must be July 27th or July 28th, so that you will qualify. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. I want to turn it over to John Paul. John Paul's been a past delegate as well as a staff member, so he's going to give us a good overview of what it feels like to be a delegate and also how to cross over to be a delegate to staff. So John Paul, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Stephanie. I'm John Paul Cross. I have 2 physical disabilities you can't really see. I'm autistic, have autism, and I was born sight impaired, which my left eye, actually the optical actually functions both eyes, so people can't really see that. Yes, I'm from Meriden, Connecticut, but they didn't have they had no programs when I was growing up, no disability benefits. The kids are lucky now to have these benefits, have these opportunities. I was it was difficult to place me in school because I was in between because I was bored. They put us to regular education if you weren't disabled, but if you were disabled, they put you in special ed. So that kind of gave me, I was bored, didn't give me a challenge. So the superintendent actually went to my church, and I guess the other 4 town areas they also went to my church, so they're like, because of my intelligence and because I was bored, I was their test subject. So they had a teacher assistant with me in regular ed, and also I was in special ed for both. So by the time I hit high school, I was in regular high school classes. I was in college required also classes. So it was a struggle here and there. I was also the first disabled student on the track team or any sport within 50 years of Connecticut. I'm also the first disabled Scoutmaster, Eagle Scout in the 100 years of scouting in the state of Connecticut. So how I heard about this program is when I was a senior in high school, they started a transfer program with BRS. They got BRS in the schools. They got other programs in the state of Connecticut, BRS, DDS, transportation. All that started when I was in senior in high school. So one day, I guess, I was the first class of the transitioning program in Meriden. Miss Cohan, who was a BRS worker, teach that class, and they did how to make resumes, how to go out to look for a job, if you need transportation to that. Also, Jean Thibodeau, who was the director of BRS, and I think she was a part of DDS, she saw my work and she saw the essays in that class I wrote. They were like looking at me like, did your parents write these? I'm like, no. So Ms. Cohan one day told me about the YLF program, and so did Dean Thibodeau, but at the time, I guess they were filled up. So Jean actually, it's like, I have faith in you. You can actually do this. She personally paid for me to actually go. So growing up in school, I was bullied and ridiculed. So I didn't know. First time away from my parents, I was nervous. I would be out with my dad for a weekend or a week at scout camp in the summer. So this was my first time to being alone. So I was nervous. I had to have my guard up. So as soon as I got there, I met John Gentile. He was one of my persons that helped me to my room key, my key card. If you lose that, you can't get into the dorm, or if you lose the key card, you won't be able to eat, he explained to me. So they brought us down, they divided us into four groups because it's easier to transport us and to when we go to building. So the first day I met a little my group, I was a little nervous. The first day, the jitters. We also we get to pick a group name for delegates, or each group picks a name. Mine was Wolfpack when I was a delegate. Then we worked on what Stephanie said entailed the star and the step paper. So the star is actually you, and it has, for example, community, what's in your community, electronics, what electronics you have, what transportation you have, and it goes on and on with that. And then the five step is what Stephanie explained. What do you want to be your dream job? And you explain how you get there. Like for me, I wanted to be a doctor, for example. Graduate high school, go to college, graduate school, and then boards, and then you're a doctor pretty much. Then the next day, we did have yeah, we worked on that, and Monday night was the talent auditions. Tuesday we did some key speakers, and also we did group activities. Mine was a little tweaked. We had actually slopers at that time, but usually when we go there, um, it's closed. So slippers, we had the rope exercise. See if you could get into inside without touching the rope. We had the zip lining. We had the rock wall, and we also had what was it? Some sort of netting, like a jungle gym, like a like climb rope. We did that, and then we had key speakers. The ones I had were not there, but as I went for staff a little bit. Corey was great. Corey is the firefighter. She is the first, I guess, firewoman chief in Middletown. She's also the first disabled chief or female, yeah, person in that. And the funny part is her husband's actually the police chief of Middletown. Um, Also, Chandler did the project, or it did the program with me. She's actually going places. She's hard of hearing and deaf. She actually helped develop, and she sells or rent out equipment for people that are deaf. A couple was a rocker when they're sleeping. If emergency, it wakes them up that way. It will start shaking the bed. A light switch thing, and also a recorder pen for like college, for that. So then the third one I liked was Colette Cookies. She was Down syndrome. She started in her kitchen, and her mom was explaining how she was bullied and she didn't like going to school. She, was actually hide in the bathroom at times because people make fun of her. But she has now the last laugh. She's a CEO of Colette Cookies. She has 14 kitchens around the worldwide, 14 kitchens. That was really like a big accomplishment. And then Wednesday we did more like DDS speakers, which we have, for example, Jeremy, a great speaker, and Josie is also works with him. and you have other people from DAS. We have a videotape of Carol Gabby of what your rights are, what services you can require, and like there's laws and discrimination laws, and also the disability American Disability Act. They explain that and they talk about that. Um, then Wednesday night is the talent show. Then in the dance, I say dance talent show. I think Tuesday, yeah, Tuesday night's talent show. Wednesday is the dance, and I made a lot of good friends. You know, trying to be it was the best decision I made, even though I did not have services growing up. I have people that are disabled that I know that I could pass the information to. And so I enjoyed it that much. That's one reason why I came back as staff. The second reason is what Stephanie and John say, we're family. It's just not a program that you just go through and we don't hear from you again. John's been there for me. Stephanie has too. So yeah, if you ever had any issues or any, future, you need some advice or services, you can always call them. So my first back as being staff, I was nervous again because I didn't know how I would interact with the delegates. I don't know if they would like me. I don't know if I would mesh with them. And I did. So also I learned every year I go back is there's different degrees of a disability. I'm sight impaired. I don't want to use a cane, but staff will use the cane, or somebody else will do an eye dog and cane. So there's different degrees of disabilities, and all these people are really nice, they're unique, and they're very easy to talk to. And on top of that is I can have my guard down for about 4 or 5 days. I don't have to have it up. I don't have to be uptight. I can just really be myself, because in the real world, like home, and it's like I had to have my guard up. It's like I have my guard up even around my family. Even my family, except for my immediate family, my aunts, uncles, cousins, they don't know I'm disabled. That's how well it's hidden. So they never knew. They're like looking at me like six sides, like, oh yeah, he's disabled. None of them even know. So, but it's a great program. You do benefit for it. So as a staff, like I said, we're family. You see new people with disabilities. I really haven't seen any physical disabilities or people blind and all that growing up. It's a small town, like I said, and you actually talk, get to know them. It's really good opportunity and program to what's it called, to check out and also know your rights, because every year there's a new right or a new program, and I go back to my town and see people, tell them about it, mention it to them. I'm like probably the first or second people since this program. Meriden hadn't that much because of that. And so as a staff, yes, I go back because I like to help, and this is the only way so far I can help people with it. So it was a great opportunity. I thank John and Stephanie for it. And that's all I can say on my end. If Jeremy is ready, I could pass it on to Jeremy. Take it away.
Sorry, my internet's coming in and out for some
Yeah.
reason. So I'll make this quick. So as a counselor for YLF, there are many things that I like about the program. I get to help people with disabilities, educate them on how to transfer from high school to adulthood and to figure out their career path. As a counselor, I oversee the classroom. I make sure that all of my students are with me at all times, that they're participation, that they're listening. And if they're having like any issues in the classroom with sexual harassment, that they'll come see me or one of my staff members in the group to make sure that all the issues are being dealt with in a well-mannered professionalism. Again, I like the talent show. I like the dance. The farm example was an amazing thing for them last year. So those are the few things that I like about the camp.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you.
Um,
I'm curious, before we move on, I wanted to ask Jeremy both John and Jeremy, I'll start with Jeremy, I should say John Paul. What if one activity or one uh, memory that really stands out for you, like Jeremy as a staff member, would you mind sharing that with us? Your students through the program from where they walk in day one and where they walk it out the final day. What is the biggest impact or what you see?
I think for the biggest impact for me is when they come in and they don't like each other and
Oh, I think you
I think he
froze.
froze.
Yeah. Jeremy, while we get you back, we're going to go to John Paul. And I ask you the same question as a staff.
Okay, because
What is that?
some of them have changed like towards the end that they really don't want to like go home. Like they'll be the first day, they're nervous, scared. This is their first time, some of them from away from their parents. They get homesick, and I pull them the ones aside. I'm like, it's the first day. Everybody gets like that. I'm like that. It's pretty much the first day you got to get over before making that decision. I mean, I had a couple like that, and they were like, I just knew, I wanted to talk to my mom and dad. Changed my mind so far and so on. And I pull them. It's the first day. There's a lot of fun. You just have to just hang in there. Just give it a day or so, and if that's how you feel, we can call them. And I also remind them that they can talk to their parents, but during work time, we refrain them from using the phone. So, like I said, after lunch or after breakfast, you want to call them during that, you may do so. Also, after free time, after dinner, they have like 4 or 5 hours before the lights out, so they can call them then too. So because a lot of them like want to talk to their parents, right away, and
Yeah.
because it's the first time from home and it's
And
scary.
how are they on the last day?
Oh, they don't want to go. That's the last day. They're like, we don't want to leave. They're hugging each other. They're getting phone numbers. So yeah, you could get your phone numbers too. In the back of the program, there are blank pages where you can, call them, email them. And that's one of the things I enjoyed. Afterwards, I did have friends from this when I was in we called, stayed in touch, but we grew apart sometimes because you do make friends here, and you go leave with their numbers.
That's a great
So
experience to go from wanting to go home the first day
yeah,
to wanting not to leave. And it sounds like that speaks a lot about the program and staff and
yeah,
the development of relationships. Thank you for sharing, John Paul.
yeah.
Jeremy, are you back with us? Do you want to try again?
oh, can you guys hear me?
yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay. Again, I think I agree with John Paul. I think the nervousness from day one and not wanting to be there till the last day of crying to us, like, oh, I don't want to go home. And we're like, too bad, you're going home. Like, get on stage, do your speech, get your certificate, and go home. It's time for y'all to go.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't staying no more.
It's not,
Yeah,
not
Um,
that harsh, but okay.
no, it's not that harsh, but it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Pushing all the door, Jeremy. While you're at it.
Yeah. No, it sounds like it's what I'm hearing from both of you. It sounds like this program, two things. You develop socialization, an opportunity to create friendships, and 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 that experience. And that other part of it, I hear you both talking, and I heard John and Stephanie touch base on this, is that that independence, the first time being away from home, being with people you don't know, and they at first probably feel like this, that I can't do this, to they seem, you know, individuals, participants feel like, wow, I gained this sense of independence. I'm okay at the end of the week, and I'm more than okay. I have friendships, I have, you know, colleagues, I have, you know, community, and the confidence through, I know you guys are going to talk about presentation, but confidence and independence, but also confidence in projects and other activities. That's pretty
I was
amazing
actually one of
transformation.
those people. Sorry, I was actually one of those
Go ahead.
kids. I didn't, say anything. I was to myself tensing up. I'm like, can I do this? I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, it happened, and I actually
Yeah.
stayed the whole time. I was like wondering, oh, should I
Mhm.
call my parents and come and get me? But if I did, I wouldn't be staff. So looking at it
Yeah.
now,
And
it's yeah,
and it seems
Adriana, do
like
you want to share that?
participants are surrounded and wrapped in support from
yeah.
everyone.
Do you want to share
Go
that
ahead,
frequently
Stephanie.
asked questions page we can put that up and
Yes.
then obviously take other questions, but this might answer some of the questions people might have.
Mm.
So I think we touched on most of these in that it is a 4-day, 3-night forum held at UConn stores. We don't pick a certain disability and say we're only going to take kids with autism or ADD. We really are not specific to the disability as long as we can handle it medically. Otherwise, you know, we don't care what your disability is. We want you to show up and show us that you're going to be a future leader for us. The program costs nothing to the delegates. The state contracts with us to get these students to sign up for Level Up services, and they then pay us to put on the forum for those kids that have Level Up services and those that don't have it. But obviously, the more that get into the Level Up services, the better for us and for them and for the students. The only thing that it would cost them is there is a day that we go to the student bookstore, and if they want to get themselves a UConn tchotchke, a UConn sweatshirt, a t-shirt or something, that is on them to pay for. Otherwise, we provide food, housing, any transportation on the campus. I missed that chat, but we'll get back to it. So anything that is program oriented, we take care of. We have a nurse on campus with us specifically for our program. So that nurse will hand out whatever medication the delegates take. They see the nurse when they first get there, they give her all the medications, tell her when they take them, and then she works out with them when to come visit her to take the medication, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whenever the medication needs to be taken. And like I said, if you need a PCA, personal care assistant, if you need large print booklet, if you have a hearing impairment and you need the wireless, microphone or whatever, we take care of that as long as we know in advance that we need to do that. It's hard to know day of. If you tell us in advance, we can take care of these things. So those are some of the questions. I want to continue giving everybody the chance to ask other questions. So are there other questions?
Stephanie, I saw in the chat early, someone asked, is this like kids as self-advocates?
John, I don't know anything about that. Can you answer that
Yeah,
question?
I don't know if you're referring to the CASA Kids as Self-Advocates when
I think
Heather
so.
Northrup had the program. Believe it or not, we paralleled with them for a while, and then they had some funding issues, and they came under the Youth Leadership Project umbrella, so they were part of us at one time. And then they kind of dispersed the program, CASA, when Heather left. I think Heather moved out of state. So I don't know what CASA is doing today, but the whole concept of we took care of the high school students while they were students, and CASA took them after they transitioned out of school. So in other words, they were young adults. We had young adults as students. They had young adults transitioning out and helped them to socialize and, you know, I guess learn and advocate for the working world or the college world. So that's where they took over. But we haven't had any association with CASA in a while. So
Thank you, John. And then there's another question. Oh, go ahead, Stephanie.
Yeah, somebody in the chat asked, Lance asked if this will continue after Elon's cuts. We have a 3-year contract with Bureau of, with Aging Disability Services. And we have been advised that the cuts that Elon Musk is proposing, this program is not touchable. So who knows? But we have been advised by the state that our funding is solid. So fingers crossed that it remains solid and that we can continue to take care of the high school kids with disabilities. It'd be an awful shame that this gets cut for, you know, any political reason. And then Derek asked, is there a flyer program? So if Adrianna, do you want to put up the slide that has our contact info and the QR code? So both John and I are happy to answer questions. Email us, call us. And if you scan that QR code, it takes you to our website application. So if you want to go, if you want to click on that, it'll take you right to our website application. And if you want to go there and then back up to the homepage, you'll get more information on the website. So if that's not sufficient for a flyer, Derek, I'm happy to kind of work on some other flyer, but I think if you go on our website, you'll see a video that's a few minutes long that really shows what happens during during the event. And there are questions answered on there as well. So hopefully that answers whatever questions you might have to help you or your folks, look into this.
Thank you, Stephanie.
if you reach out to us via email, I'd appreciate it if you put in the subject CTYLP or CTYLF. It helps because we get a lot of, I get a lot of emails that, I just don't want to look at because they're nothing but advertisements. So, but I'd appreciate CTYLP or CTYLF in the subject matter if you send the email. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And yes, he says definitely that works for me. Thank you. I think sharing potentially this QR code or sharing the website. And I think you're also on social media.
Yes.
Yep. So you can find them on Facebook/Med. I still call it Facebook under Connecticut Youth Leadership Project. So you'll be able to see there as well, Derek. And does anyone else have any other questions, either about the program or to any of the panelists that you'd like to clarify or ask something more about?
Can I make one more plug? And
Of course,
again,
Stephanie, feel
I don't
free.
interrupt anybody's questions if they have them, but we always can use staff members. You've heard John Paul talk about his experience as a staff member. You heard Jeremy talk about his experience. So we ask that the student be, or that the staff member be at least 2 years out of high school. We ask that they participate from Sunday. We do a training session on Sunday and stay through till Thursday on campus with us because the kids are there, overnight as well. We do have a budget to pay a stipend. It's not a huge stipend. You're not going to get rich off of it, but if you have that week open and you're interested in being a staff member, there's also a staff application on our website. And if you're interested, or if you know somebody who's interested, by all means, send them to the website, send them to the staff application, or again, send them to John and I, and we will we'll do the rest of it. But if you know somebody who's 2 years out of high school that has a disability and might be interested in working with us, let us know.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity to get work experience and also give back to the program for
Mhm.
sure. Thank you for sharing that, Stephanie.
We also we strive to have the staff, program counselors and program assistants. We strive to have those individuals be individuals with disabilities. Most of the people delivering the program to you, whether it be a guest speaker, a keynote speaker, will have a disability. That's what we strive to do. So uh, if you're someone that wants to be a staff person, you don't have to have a disability. You do have to be 2 years out of high school. But when we interact with the students, we try to get our staff to be individuals with disabilities. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, great point, John. Thank you. I will, while we see if anybody has any more questions, I will let everybody know that you are going to get this, these two, well, I'm calling slides, but they're in a PDF. So you're going to get the PDF form. I'll be emailing it to everyone tomorrow morning. So you don't have to try to type everything out or save, take a screenshot. You'll get this in email. Whatever email you registered with, I will send the two pages, which actually I should say, Stephanie and John, I'm sure you're okay with that, but I guess I'll ask because I'm just offering. And I figured it'd just be easier because I know sometimes frantically you're trying to take screenshots and things like that. Does anybody else have any other questions? You could either unmute or you can put it in the chat. I have one quick question that I was trying to think of is the last day of the presentation. What I'm curious, how do they pick their presentation topics, or is there a theme that you use to do the presentations on? Or because I love, without telling too much about the activity, there's a lot of teamwork involved and support and fun, and I think there's a lot of relationship building and support within, because when anyone presents, any of us present, you get nervous and things like that. So I'm curious to hear a little bit about how that comes about, the presentation process.
I could answer that. Depends on your groups. You divide the task. There's usually 10 delegates in a group, and they will like ask them what they feel comfortable with, who would they like to work with, if they could do it, if they want to do it alone. So the group actually assigns it or votes on it to actually who would do it. So it varies from each group. So I mean, it's based on what delegates are comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And
Thank you.
Adrianna, we have a program book that the delegates get at the beginning of the forum, and it walks through each activity so that at the end of the time they know, okay, here's what I hope to learn, here's what I've learned, and they can share their experience, and to the audience. But like John Paul said, it's sort of the group decides who's going to talk about their experience, who's going to talk about the talent show or whatever portion of the forum they want to address to the audience.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, thank you. Jeremy, I see you're back on video. Did you want to share?
I think everyone here on the call is agree. I think it depends on the team dynamics, but also it also depends on the counselor of the team, because as a counselor, as I mentioned in the beginning, we set a tone during that week for our group. And we're the overseers for the group. And so you have some counselors that are good and some that are overly fun. And you have like people like me who are going to make sure that we do everything by the letter and by the T. And I think when you get a group of people, like a staff member, like if I'm there on the first Saturday, like, the first Sunday where we all have to train, I'll get my group together during dinner time, and I'll be like, hey, this is what we're doing for the week, and this is a plan, and do you have any suggestions? Because I feel like if within my team, I want to make sure that we're on one accordance. And so that involves like doing behind the work scenes and making sure like at dinner time we're talking before the next day, or going to the community room for a few hours and talking about what the plan is so that we can have a successful week. And I've learned that that is actually workable upon my group, because I feel like it's successful. It builds our team up to be successful. And then on the day of the luncheon, we do practice with them. We act like, we're the audience, and we let them, get just an imagination of what to expect when they go on stage and how to practice. And it's a unique experience for them. And I think it is right. Some of them may not never got along with each other, but when they go on the stage, they act like a team, because as a counselor, we prepare them for what they need to prepare for. And I think that is amazing in itself.
I agree. I agree. Both you and John Paul have really helped us visualize what the program is like from staff side and participant side as well. You guys are doing great at describing not only what you're doing for your delegates and what your experience was when you participated in the program. And one last thing I was going to ask is, I love how I'm hearing the different aspects. Like Jeremy, you just talked about the idea of the teamwork and developing that team where you start off as strangers, not sure. You both mentioned strangers, you're not sure how this is all going to work out. And you're reading, I'm supposed to do this with a bunch of people that I don't know about. And at the end, you're, creating this community, and you as like the, I call it cheerleader, because I feel like the leaders of teams or cheerleaders really supporting the team that you are hoping to help develop all the strengths and talents of each individual member and bring them together in a team to do this presentation. And at the same time, as John Paul also mentioned, and Stephanie and John mentioned, it's also about leadership. So you're, developing individuals with that confidence and that voice, advocating and just standing in more confidence where they showed up at first, and then also to come together and support each other as a team. So it's that two-faceted side of it, which is what reflected when I saw the program when I went 2 years ago at the final day to see that presentation. And this is why I was so excited to get together to really bring awareness to the program, because I haven't, seen the full program live in action. But I feel like now, listening to all of you really paint that picture, I really visualize a complete program. So hopefully our participants and those that view the video can see that full and share about the program and want to participate in the program. So that way you guys receive more than enough applications and hopefully even grow the program bigger, because I think it's incredible what you're doing with the Youth Leadership Forum and the changes and the opportunities that gives to anybody to come in and just build that team and build that confidence. And hearing John Paul talk about those relationships that you build over time too. It's not just one and done. You're not done that year. You tend to, still stay connected as much as possible throughout. So if no one has any more questions, I will ask each panelist one last question. In one word or short phrase, what comes to mind from your experience of the Connecticut Youth Leadership Forum?
Inspirational.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Socialization.
Socialization. Thank you, John.
Empowerment.
Empowerment.
Yeah, all three took mines. I think all of those three outdoes mine. So I think I agree. Empowerment, socialization, um, also just being a team player, and just coming with a spirit of just knowing that we're all here to have your back, and we have the best interest for you, and we just want what's best for you at the end of the day.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Well, thank you all for sharing. And my word is community, because I feel like
There
we're
you
in
go.
community together after hearing everything. So thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. And we are finishing right at 6 o'clock. I'm glad we were able to answer questions as well. Thank you all. Thank you, John, Stephanie, John Paul, and Jeremy for joining
Thank
me
you.
tonight. I'm really
Thanks,
excited.
Gloria.
You have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you
Thank you
all.
for hosting.